This Raptors team came into this game 21-27. Offensively, not really able to do a ton this year. Near the bottom in field goal percentage and three-point percentage. But they get after it defensively. They're long and they have length. And the biggest thing that jumps out to you tonight is simply another game in which there were turnover issues. And the main culprit for the second consecutive game was Domantas Sabonis. He had 9 turnovers. This guy has a chance to be an all-star starter. He's amazing. Yes, we know. I feel like if I ever criticize, it's going to come across like I'm hating on the guy. But the reality is he has not been great the last couple of games.
No.
And tonight was a great example of this. And I think watching him now, we have a bigger sample size with him as a King, right? It's been almost a year since he's been on this squad. When he gets frustrated, when a team is physical with him, and those Raptors are one of the more physical teams out there. Teams complain about them a lot with the physicality.
Yeah.
They hammer you. They send bodies at you. They're going to front you. They're going to knock you around. When that stuff happens, it takes Sabonis completely out of his game, and he was absolutely out of rhythm tonight.
It doesn't matter what team it is.
Yeah.
That should be your game plan. If you're any team in the NBA going up against the Sacramento Kings, if you have the ability to do that and to frustrate a player. And you mentioned this to me. You said he loves to be physical, but hates when that physicality is approached the same way on him. Absolutely. I mean, but here's my only challenge for him as a player, as a 26-year-old player, is to find a way to mentally overcome that, right? When people are trying to get in your head with their physicality, with the way that they're trying to push you around. It ain't easy, so I'm not going to sit here and act like, you got to do that. It's just a criticism and something I am analyzing about his game that I've noticed when he plays at his worst is when other teams are getting into his head. In last game, he had a triple-double. Wait, that was last game, right? Yeah, he had a triple-double, and it still just didn't feel like it, right? It just didn't feel like his best game.
He had like 8 turnovers in that game, right? It wasn't his best game. And, you can talk about stuff. You could acknowledge what he's done well while also going, yeah, he's got to clean that stuff up. You're the best guy in the team. You can't have a game where you have 9 turnovers in a game. And some of them, give the Raptors credit. They do such a great job at just with their length. They're bugging him. They cut off angles well because of they're so long.
Absolutely.
The Kings were clearly rattled a few times by a matchup zone that got him out of whack. But then he had one pass where he's got the ball and he's trying to get to Mitchell. And everyone's watching him with the ball like he wants to get it to him. And for some reason, there was a miscommunication. Maybe Mitchell was supposed to go a different way. I don't know. Whatever it was, Sabonis still passed the ball, turnover. And you're going, what are you doing?
Just not locked in.
No, and Fox had some really bad ones too. He didn't have 9. He had 4, but he had a couple of costly ones in the fourth quarter when they kind of closed the gap.
Yeah, 2 of your guys not being able to respond after some runs, after some bigger moments for their entire team. It's not... We don't see this often, or you see someone else step up on this squad. So that's what makes it very disappointing, I guess, when you look at this loss for the Kings. But it's also disappointing when both of your guys that are supposed to be the leaders, that are supposed to, one or another is supposed to be there when things are down, they weren't there. And it's frustrating because I know it's not the biggest game in the whole world, but at the same time, these are the ones that really matter, where you go, gosh, you can get it done. You can get the win over this team. And you're about to hit a 7-game road trip. Shit's just about to get harder.
And I thought the half, I'm like, look, they've got turnovers, but they're in the game right now. They'll be fine if they could just take care of business. The Raptors at the half had 14 more shot attempts, and the Kings were down 8. Okay. All right, cleaning up, maybe some adjustments. But I feel like the Raptors came out and they're like, no. we're gonna keep this going. We're gonna keep playing with this level of physicality because we know it has them rattled, and it clearly got them rattled tonight. And this could be a nice turning point for the Kings because I can't wait for them to go back and watch this game and see these type of mistakes, see how teams can try to get them out of stuff. Now, not every team's built like the Raptors with a whole bunch of guys that are like 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", with 7'12" wingspan.
I believe it's 7'12".
Yeah,
Correct.
You're not going to face that every single night in the NBA, but what you will do is you will see teams be more aggressive with their double teams on Sabonis, know how to play him with physicality. Even after the game, I thought it was interesting. Fred VanVleet had this quote, Morgan, talking about the Kings. He said they're one of the top teams in the league this year, and they've been playing really well. So we were pretty up for this one. So
they looked up.
Teams are getting to the point now where, we notice. We see all this stuff on social media about the beam being lit. Oh, a tough place to play. The Raptors sucked the life out of that building
Yes.
tonight. It was dead because the Kings had 50 points at the half.
Couldn't hear much on the broadcast, right? But at the same time, you look at a quote like that from a player, and in some ways, sure, it's a compliment because it shows that you're gaining the respect from so many other teams. But this is my biggest worry that I kept talking about in the start of this season. I go, teams look different in the second half of the season. They figure out things. They have different game tape on different teams, on different individuals. Some teams are different because of injuries. J.E. Skeets on our show today was talking about how the Kings have been relatively healthy, one of the healthier teams in the NBA, knock on wood. And all those things help other teams to understand, this is their identity. This is who they are. This is what we need to do to at least slow this down. And the Raptors, give them credit because they did a great job, especially defensively, being physical, staying aggressive, and really bringing that intensity.
Well, Mike Brown, what did you see tonight? What happened?
They just flat out kicked our ass. It's simple. Their length, their athleticism, their switchability, their ball pressure, their physicality sped us up, and we didn't do a great job of handling that at all. We always talk about winning the possession game, and we weren't even close. They kicked our behind on the glass, turnover area. It's hard to beat a team when a team gets up 24, 25 more shots than you do. But like I say, you give them credit. They killed us in the paint after the first quarter. You give them a lot of credit. Precious Achiuwa, we couldn't stay in front of him. He drove by us when he wanted. Chris Boucher came off the bench and really hurt us in the first half in the paint. He hit a couple of threes too. But their bench was good. They played 8 guys. 2 of the guys off the bench did a fantastic job for them.
Yeah, those 2 guys he mentioned. Achiuwa had 19 points, Morgan, 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. He did on 9 of 12 shooting, and he really got going. There's one play that I felt like the vomit guy from last year.
Vomit man?
Yeah, I got a little sick. I felt a little sick when Metu just allowed him a straight line drive to the basket.
I mean, Metu's playing on a leg and a half, huh?
Okay, you know what? I didn't think about. To be honest, did not think about that. But he was good enough to play.
Yeah, and that's.
I mean, he was
100%.
He was cleared today.
100%. 100%. And that's why whenever anyone's cleared after being sick or after an injury, you go, okay, well, then they can play at 100%. That's not always the case. Some guys just want to get in there and play. Whether it was a leg and a half for Metu or not, we've seen this type of defense from Metu. Yes.
And Boucher, man, you talk about 16 points on 7 of 11 shooting, knocked down a couple of threes. A guy who has not shot the ball well from 3 at all, but he got some good looks, knocked them down. I thought his presence as a shot blocker was big. He had a couple of nice blocks inside.
Yeah.
I think 2 on Metu dunk attempts, but then he also came out. Trey Lyles had a chance. It was at a 17-point game. Lyles launches a 3 to try to get it to 14, and it was a brilliant contest and rejection by Chris Boucher. Dude is long, 7'4" wingspan.
I was like, he's really long, 7'4" wingspan. Yeah, that length is going to disrupt so many different things. The other thing that you and I were talking about before we came on, I was like, it's got to mess up a guy's like precision on a pass, right? When even if you're like faking a pass to make a pass and you're doing that against your average NBA team that you're used to passing that ball against, when you're playing a lengthier team, a team with guys with 7'4" wingspans, or like Deuce was saying before, 7'12" wingspans.
And something like that,
Yeah. You have to make another adjustment. And the Kings didn't seem locked in enough to make that adjustment on the fly for themselves. Or even if they were told like, hey, you got to fake before you make this pass. Nothing seemed to really be clicking together tonight. Just on a nice, clean, smooth level for the Kings. It just was not there.
They had 19 turnovers. It turned into 17 points. And, obviously that could have been far worse from a points perspective. But when you turn the ball over, breaking news, that means you don't get a shot off. And Mike Brown was talking about the shot attempts. I said the disparity was 14 at the half. At the end of the game, the Raptors take 97 shots. The Kings had 73, a season low in points, 95. That's not a recipe for winning basketball. After the game, Mike Brown was asked about Sabonis, because Sabonis last 2 games, he had 9 turnovers tonight, 8 the last game. What's going on? Are you concerned about Sabonis and the turnovers?
You hope it's one of those stretches, but the reality of it is they've gotten up in him, and they've pressured him, and when he puts it on the floor, they're shrinking. And so what he has to do, and we talked about it in there, what he has to do, he just got to make the simple pass. He may have to get this is funny because it's Toronto, I guess, and it's hockey, but he may have to get the hockey assist instead of the assist because of the pressure that he's facing, because of the defense's ability, the defense shrinking the floor and making it tough on him. And then, in the post tonight, they did a great job of mixing up some double teams and not mixing up some double teams, which caused not only confusion from him, but confusion from the rest of our guys tonight too. But it's more so just making it's more so just making the simple pass, not getting too deep.
Yeah, you just mentioned that a second ago, making the simple pass. But the one thing I would say too is, like, this can't be the first time Sabonis has faced coverages like this in the NBA. It's not like he's a rookie in the NBA.
No.
He's just got to be better. And some of it, too, is his teammates have to work better in dealing with that type of pressure, too. There can't be standing around, right? They're sending different looks, so you can't just stand around. You have to make the right pass. There were too many times, especially that they were trying to go for the home run, which they have a tendency to do this year where, oh, my God, we're in a desperate spot. We got to just force it in there. It's like, no. Just work it around. Let's get some good looks.
I think a few things about that. Yeah. You look at that first pass from Sabonis to start the second half, and it was to Keegan Murray on, you could call it a backdoor, right? He forced it in there. It was beautiful. Barely got there, but it got there, right? And Keegan Murray gets the easy 2. And I remember even seeing that pass, and I was like, you're not going to get that all game long, right? And that's exactly what started to happen. And then going off of Mike Brown and what he was talking about with the more of a hockey pass, Sabonis is good enough to start the offense. And he doesn't have to finish the offense. He doesn't have to be the finisher with the assists, with the big play, with the big move. He alone causes so much attention that his movement in his first pass could lead to the second better pass. I think the trust wasn't there for that. I think, like you said, it was just the mindset of, holy shit, we're down. We got to find a way to come back up out of this one. And when you're playing like that, you're going to play out of rhythm. You're going to play out of your game.
One tweak that we saw from Mike Brown tonight, Chimezie Metu ends up playing in this game after we're thinking, oh no, this could be a bad injury. He ends up playing. He brought him in. Usually he brings him in for Sabonis this year. He brought him in to play with Sabonis tonight. And I think it was like a thing. They're looking at him. Hey, he's one of our better athletes. He's got a little more length. Maybe he could match up better against this Raptors team. I'm not sure. I just haven't seen that lineup before.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Metu at the 4 a ton this year. That was stuff we saw last year. He's been more productive at the 5 when he's been in there. I just look at the backup big spot again, and we've talked about it all year long. The more I watch him, like, you know what the Kings need? Someone like Precious Achiuwa, who can step out and hit a three. He's going to attack, get after the glass. You need some nasty off the bench. You know, people talk about the Kings don't have any dogs. I do think they've got some dogs. I think Sabonis is a bit of a dog. I think Davion has that in him too.
Aaron's even picked up that energy.
But you need another enforcer big.
Sure.
Like Chimeze, although he's got like decent, like, I feel like he's still an undersized big. Like, I don't look at him as someone's going to go in there with brute force and go attack the glass and go get a rebound on a consistent basis. Like, and I think too many times defensively, there are far too many mistakes from him. That's where we're talking about as we're just 2 weeks away now, almost from the NBA trade deadline. We talked to Sam Amick today on our show on Zachtown Sports. He goes, I expect some fireworks, but it's probably going to be the week of the trade deadline. As we get closer, I'm like, all right, who's that guy? Who's going to come in there and not going to be afraid to mix it up a little bit? Go after a rebound. Tonight, you saw it. The Kings did not do great on the glass, and they were out-rebounded by the Raptors 41-34. Sabonis' double-double streak is over. He only had 8 rebounds. By the way, Sabonis on the night, 9 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 turnovers in this game. Kings second chance points. It was 18-2 tonight in favor of the Raptors, who had 11 offensive rebounds, Morgan.
And that's where teams kill them.
Yep.
That's where teams kill the Kings.
Points in the paint, 58.
Yeah. And early on, I forget how early on it was at the first half that they had 20 something points in the paint. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a shit show. I didn't even know wherever that was. It was far too early. Right. We saw that with the Lakers a couple games ago where it was like 24 first quarter points in the paint, but then the response was there. Tonight, you didn't have that response. You didn't have that energy kick in to be like, we got to stop this team. So not only was that not there, but the Raptors were also doing a good job of executing their game plan. They look like a team that has experience big games and big moments, even without, certain aspects of their team at times, and they still know how to get things done. They're a well-coached team with I can't even say a good culture, not this season.
No,
but
this season
it's like, if
hasn't been-
anything, they're messy, right?
When we talked to J.E. Skeets today from No Dunks, and he's obviously a big Raptors fan. He was talking to us about how weird of a year it's been for them. Like, Van Vliet's missed time. OG misses a lot of time. Siakam's missed some time.
There's been some weird stuff.
The other thing I looked up today, they've had 14 games this season where they've lost a game by 4 or fewer points.
Wow.
Just a lot of close games. And they've lost a lot of them. Because you look at this team on paper, you go, Barnes, OG, Siakam, Trent Jr., Van Vliet, with Boucher and Achua off the bench. Hernan Gomez got in there too. Little Bo Cruz. But you go, that's a solid team.
Yeah.
They're 22-27 now. And they're kind of scuffling, trying to make the play in. I'm curious what they do at the deadline. But if like Precious is available, if I'm on it, that's a guy. Boucher's intriguing with his length. He makes a little more, making $11-10 million a year for the next couple of years.
It just depends on what they're going to do at the trade deadline. And talking about, like you said, talking about that with J.E. Skeets today, you don't want to mess with Masai. And
that's true. I don't want to.
He's just
You're right.
going
I take it back.
Try and grab everything from you, and he's going to be like, I would like also that light beam on the top of your arena with this deal.
And I'm not giving up the beam.
You can't take it, Masai.
I think the one thing that the Kings need to realize as a team tonight, and Monty just got the extension too. He's not ignorant; they're watching the games. But from a player perspective, we talked about last game, like just matching the physicality of teams.
Yeah.
Right. Celtics, a lot of the Eastern Conference teams we were talking about now, like Celtics, Bucks, some of the better defensive squads.
Yeah.
The Raptors, who have defensive potential, maybe not living up to it totally, but they're like 12th in defensive rating?
Yeah.
You have to embrace this. In the playoffs, you're going to get punched.
But this is the thing, Deuce. These teams have, even if they've changed throughout the years, they still have cores that have played postseason basketball, that have that experience. And the only way to understand what that's like or to get there is for your team to have that experience. Having Harrison Barnes on the team with that experience, it's like not going to cut it, right? Like you have to actually understand. Jason Tatum last year, we got to see him experience Steph Curry's conditioning and how if he wants to be a champ, that's the type of conditioning he's going to need to have, right? You learn something new and you can elevate your game as an individual and as a team to the next level. And for the Sacramento Kings, that's why whenever we do talk about playing, you just really hope that it's playoffs for them right away and not play-in, because that's where things can get tough with teams that have that type of experience.